Well, the weather's too nice to stay inside, so I hope you'll join me as I discuss where to get your vintage audio equipment fixed. It's not easy in today's world, but hopefully I'll give you some tips. If you enjoy vintage audio equipment, you've come to the right spot. Please subscribe and hit that notification bell, as well as giving me a big thumbs up if you like this video and share it with others. Such a nice day out, I thought I'd get outside today and talk about where do you get your vintage stereo equipment repaired if you have it. You know, if you got something broke, where do you get it repaired? Or even if it's still working, where do you get it serviced? You'd like to have it looked at. It's 30, 40, 50 years old. Most of you older guys like me probably remember the little stereo shops in your town or somewhere close to you. I didn't live in a real big city, but there were half a dozen, maybe 8 little shops. And this was before Best Buy and before Circuit City. So, you know, there were a bunch of them, and the bigger shops had their own service department. And actually, the bigger shops also sold appliances. I know one I used to walk into, first thing you saw were refrigerators, washers, and dryers. And you had to kind of cut a little bit left and you went into their audio section. But, and another thing too back then, if you had something broke, we had a service center here. You know, the bigger shops had their own, quote, technician and service center. The littler shops didn't, and they'd send you down to the service center. And this service center repaired everything from A to Z. So it was real easy to get your stuff fixed or looked at back then. Now, not so much, right? I mean, there's no one in my area that I would trust to look at my stereo equipment, my vintage stereo equipment. There's just nobody here. So what do? You probably got the same issue. Maybe you're lucky enough, you're one of those guys, and you've got somebody, you know, a handful of guys around this country that are competent and work on this stuff that you can trust. But if not, what do you do? First thing I would do, if I didn't have anyone to work on my vintage equipment, Google it. Just Google vintage audio repair, Google vintage stereo repair, and just see what you come up with. You know, if it's within 100 miles, it might be worth you driving. And actually, you know, a lot of us, you know, maybe are within 100 miles of something we haven't seen in a long time, and it wouldn't be a horrible trip to go by yourself, go with a buddy, take the family, whatever, and let the piece of equipment ride in the back seat or the trunk, and you can drop it off, have a nice day, and you know, maybe come back you know, a few days later or a few weeks later and pick it up. Or maybe you get lucky and there's somebody who can look at it right then and tell you something about what your issue is. So first, as I said, the first thing I would do is look local. If you can't find anyone local, really your only option is to ship it off. And if somebody's halfway across the country, you know, you're going to have to pack that thing like it's going to the moon. And there's a lot of videos and information online about that, but you know, you just don't want to throw it in a single wall box with some shipping peanuts. It's not going to make it. It just isn't going to make it. You can ship this stuff safely, but it has to be packed correctly. Double box. You know, usually you use that thick foam to keep it isolated on the inside, so if something punctures the box. These people, you know, the shipping companies aren't going to be careful with it. So that would be the second option, is to send it off. But really, if you can, getting it fixed local is the way to go. And I think most of us, probably if you went 100 miles in any direction, you can probably find somebody. And a lot of people don't think about that because they don't have something right next door to them like maybe they used to. But you know, there is somebody within 100 miles one way or another, and you can make a day of it and get your equipment fixed. So I hope you enjoyed the little video here outdoors.